It's time now for Lilith Lovecraft's Pro Wrestling Report.
That's right. We're coming to you with all of your pro wrestling news and reviews you could ever possibly need on this May 16th, beginning, as we always do, on this day in pro wrestling history. And 54 years ago today, in Omaha, Nebraska, Vern Gagne defeated Mad Dog Vachon to win the AWA World Heavyweight Championship for the 7th time. 34 years ago today, actor Andy Kaufman dies of lung cancer in Los Angeles, California at just 35 years of age. Best known for his work with Latka Graves in the hit television series Taxi, Kaufman occasionally wrestled, calling himself the intergender wrestling champion of the world, and offered $1,000 to any woman who could beat him, wrestling-wise. He's best known for his long feud with Jerry the King Lawler. Kaufman would be the subject of the biographical film of 1999, Man on the Moon, which actually featured Lawler. 31 years ago today in Atlanta, Georgia, the Midnight Express of Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane defeated Ronnie Garvin and Barry Windham to win the vacated NWA United States Tag Team Championship. 20 years ago today, ECW presented A Matter of Respect 98 from the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Some matches from that taping included Chris Candido and Sabu versus Lance Storm and Rob Van Dam, ending in a no contest. Bam Bam Bigelow defeated Al Snow. Spike Dudley, the Sandman, and Tommy Dreamer defeated the Dudleys in a Stairway to Hell match. 19 years ago today, the WWF presented No Mercy from the Manchester Evening News Arena in Manchester, England. The UK exclusive event would not be released to the North American audiences until January 4th of 2000, more than 6 months after the event took place, and then about 2.5 months after the WWF and American version of the event. In a side note, both the VHS and 2010 DVD releases of the event are highly sought after. The VHS for obvious reasons, and the DVD because there are no edits of the original broadcasts. Not even the WWF logo is blurred out. Some matches from that card. Nicole Bass defeated Tori in just 27 seconds. Shane McMahon defeated X-Pac to retain the WWF European Championship. And Steve Austin defeated The Undertaker and Triple H in an Anything Goes triple threat match to retain the WWF Championship. 19 years ago today, ECW presented Hardcore Heaven from the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie, New York. Some matches from that card. Sid defeated Just Incredible via disqualification, and Taz defeated Bubba Ray Dudley via submission in a Falls Count Anywhere match to retain the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. 18 years ago today, at a SmackDown taping in Detroit, Michigan, Gerald Briscoe defeated Crash Holly to win the WWF Hardcore Championship. 14 years ago today, the WWE presented Judgment Day from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, with 18,722 in attendance and about 235,000 homes watching on pay-per-view. That was down from 315,000 homes for the 2003 event. Some matches from that card: The Undertaker defeated Booker T, and John Bradshaw Layfield defeated Eddie Guerrero by disqualification in a WWE Championship match. The bout is noted for Guerrero lacerating himself a little bit too much following a chair shot, making Guerrero literally gush blood from his forehead. 8 years ago today, TNA presented Sacrifice from the Impact Zone in Universal Orlando. Some matches from that card: Jeff Hardy defeated Mr. Anderson. Sting defeated Jeff Jarrett in just 14 seconds. Of course, it helped that Jarrett was beaten down hard by Sting. And Rob Van Dam defeated AJ Styles to retain the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. 7 years ago today, TNA rebranded their weekly television show as Impact Wrestling, using the tagline, "Wrestling Matters Again." The campaign included purchasing billboard advertising across the country, including a few in Stamford, Connecticut, home of World Wrestling Entertainment. At the first taping of the rebranding at Universal Orlando, Abyss defeated Kazarian to win the TNA X Division Championship. And 6 years ago today, Ring of Honor star Tommaso Ciampa announces via Twitter that he had been diagnosed with diverticulitis. The announcement comes just 4 days after suffering his first pinfall loss in Ring of Honor. Despite the diagnosis, Ciampa continued to wrestle and was at Best of the World Hostage Crisis the very next month. And when I say there's a lot of birthdays today, there's a lot of birthdays today. So we're going to keep each profile as brief as possible. It's a happy 44th birthday to Alexander Wright, or simply Alex Wright. The German-born Wright was trained by his father and British wrestler Steve Wright. Wrestling for the first time at the young age of 16, Alex joined the WCW back in 1994 while the company was on tour in Germany. His pay-per-view debut came at Starrcade in '94, where Wright defeated John Paul Levesque, who would go on to, moderate success as Triple H in the WWE. And in 1995, Wright participated in New Japan's Best of the Super Juniors tournament, finishing in a 5-way tie for 4th, missing the playoff by a single win. As Wright was signed to a contract with AOL Time Warner, he was not picked up with the sale of WCW to the WWF in March of 2001. And in fact, Wright was largely retired from active competition. He took a break from wrestling due to being burned by the backstage politicking in WCW, and he would wrestle occasionally for German wrestling promotions, and even started one for himself, New European Championship Wrestling. In 2009, Wright also had his own wrestling school, The Right Stuff, in his hometown of Nuremberg. It's a happy 57th birthday to Charles Wright, wrestling under such names as Sir Charles, Kama Mustafa. Wright is probably best remembered as the Godfather. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2016, and we all pretty much remember the Godfather pretty well for his gimmick. It's a happy 79th birthday to Johnny Rodriguez, aka Johnny Rods. A member of the WWE Hall of Fame class of 1996, Rodriguez was a mainstay during the WWF's early days and worked for NWA Hollywood in the 1970s. Rodriguez is best known these days as a trainer running a wrestling school in Brooklyn for a quarter century. Some of the most famous students including the Dudley Boys, Matt Stryker, Tommy Dreamer, Taz, and Bill DeMott. His more recent graduates include Colin Cassidy and Marty Bell. And today would have been a happy 90th birthday to Alfred Manuel Martin, but he's best known to baseball and wrestling fans as Billy Martin. And it's also a happy 99th birthday, and I'm going to butcher this name, but we're going to try, Waltzulu Valentino Liberance, or simply Liberas to many fans. Known sometimes as Mr. Showmanship for his flamboyant performances and lifestyle, his 5-decade career included numerous concerts, recordings, televisions, motion pictures, and endorsements. He won 2 Emmys, 6 gold albums, and a pair of stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. His wrestling connection was a guest timekeeper for the main event of the first WrestleMania. The night before the event, he guest starred on Saturday Night Live with Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. So, happy birthday to everyone today, and there's been quite a few of them. On to news. WWE has added another Women's Championship match to Money in the Bank's card. A day after Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey was announced, WWE revealed that Asuka will be challenging for Carmella's SmackDown Women's Championship at the pay-per-view. That was set up at SmackDown tapings in London this week, with Paige interrupting Carmella's Royal Mellabration and making the match. Carmella at first responded by saying she wasn't defending the title at Money in the Bank, and then left the ring when Asuka came out. The only time Asuka has challenged for the title was back at WrestleMania 34, where Charlotte Flair ended her undefeated streak. And Carmella cashed in her Money in the Bank briefcase to win the championship on the SmackDown brand after WrestleMania, and went on to successfully defend against Charlotte at Backlash. I'm really frustrated with so many things going on with the women's division right now, from the fact that Ronda Rousey's second match is against Nia Jax for a title, and just everything with Carmella right now. But hey, that's wrestling for you. So here's the updated lineup for Money in the Bank, which will take place at the Allstate Arena in our very own Rosemont, Illinois on June 17th. The WWE Champion AJ Styles will be defending his title against Shinsuke Nakamura. Raw's Women's Champion Nia Jax will be defending against Ronda Rousey. SmackDown Women's Champion Carmella will be defending against Asuka, and I just hope that they don't continue Asuka losing. This is just ridiculous. The men's Money in the Bank ladder match, which currently includes Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, The Miz, Rusev, Bobby Roode, Kevin Owens, a member of the New Day, and the winner of next week's Samoa Joe versus Big Cass qualifying match. And the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, which currently includes Ember Moon, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, and 4 more wrestlers. Building off of that, 2 SmackDown superstars qualify for their respective Money in the Bank ladder matches. Becky Lynch managed to beat both members of what used to be Absolution, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, to advance in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Meanwhile, the New Day beat The Bar, giving them the opportunity to compete in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods will have to choose which one of them will be inserted into the bout, but I've been hearing a lot of rumblings that Big E might be getting a singles push, so we'll see how that goes. Lynch joins Ember Moon, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Another participant will be determined next week on SmackDown when Lana challenges Peyton Royce. Hopefully it isn't Lana, because we all know how I feel about her. Meanwhile, only one spot is left for the men's Money in the Bank match, and the New Day participants join Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, The Miz, Rusev, Bobby Roode, and Kevin Owens. The last participant will be determined next week on SmackDown when Samoa Joe battles Big Cass. As I mentioned, the final spot for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, along with another women's spot, will be decided on next week's SmackDown. Samoa Joe will compete for the first time on SmackDown since the Superstar Shakeup, as he will battle Big Cass for that qualifying match for the final spot in the men's. Joe hasn't been seen since Backlash, when he lost to Roman Reigns. Cass was attacked by Daniel Bryan after harassing him repeatedly, and since Bryan's targeting Cass's leg, that may be a factor heading into the match. Meanwhile, Lana is set to face Billie Kay in another qualifying match. Kay's Iconics partner, Peyton Royce, had an opportunity to compete in a qualifying match last week, but was defeated by Charlotte Flair, thankfully. This would also mark Lana's first time on SmackDown since October, when she teamed up with Tamina and Natalya in a losing effort against Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Naomi. Now, SmackDown next week will be coming from the DCU Center in Worcester, Massachusetts. And in the world of rumors, a source told WrestleVotes that Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax would be booked because WWE felt that they simply had, quote, no other options. It goes on to say, quote, they can't ignore Rousey for another pay-per-view, don't want her in the ladder match, and can't have her lose a qualifying match. While there is apparently some truth of the talk of Big Cass being in trouble backstage, It's believed his program with Daniel Bryan will continue since WWE doesn't want to rush The Miz versus Bryan, and they really don't have anything else lined up. I mean, this is a great pay-per-view when everything's just, we don't know what to do, we have no plans, so let's just throw together some stuff. An Iron Man match is also being discussed as a possible stipulation for AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura's match at Money in the Bank, which I think would be absolutely fantastic considering the storyline that they have going right now. If you care, the entertainment tabloids seem to be in agreement that John Cena and Nikki Bella's future. US Weekly says that she's spending nights at his apartment, and People says that they're reconciling, and E! News says that there's definitely hope for these two. I guess I don't really care very much, but I hope Nikki's smarter than that. And ITV was once again taping for their World of Sports revival last week, and it inspired another round of WWE trying to lock down top UK talent for their brand, per Wrestling Observer. The site notes Tony Storm, Joe Coffey, Dave Mastiff, El Ligero, Travis Banks, Chris Brooks, Ginny, and Eddie Dennis were in talks with the WWE. That wraps up your wrestling report for this morning.
Wow. Okay.